The Mohicans prized warrior valor above all things, and thus created a truly martial society of skilled and masterful soldiers. Their prowess did not go unnoticed by neighboring Native American tribes, such as the Huron and Iroquois. They banded together, knowing their only hope to defeat the Mohicans was through numbers. Eventually, the Mohicans would be defeated, and perceiving that a martial tribe such as this could not be left alone to regroup, the coalition of tribes that had joined forces to defeat the Mohicans proceeded to exterminate them. In 1826, James Fenimore Cooper wrote The Last of the Mohicans, a work of historical fiction detailing the story of Uncas, a warrior from the Mohican tribe. It is a story of the great honor and sacrifice of Uncas, who dies trying to rescue an innocent English girl who had been kidnapped by the Hurons. He ultimately pays the mortal price for his valor, as so many of his tribesmen had before him. As stated in my previous video, one of my favorite things about the Kenshi lore is its parallels to the real world, and that is one of the reasons I am fascinated by the Shek Kingdom. Like the Mohicans, the Shek are a martial society. In contrast to the United Cities, where the highest social good is wealth, the Shek Kingdom honors warrior valor above all things. It is how their society is structured. The greatest warrior and queen is Esta, the stone golem, who took her throne by defeating the previous king Shagar in combat. While in the United Cities, the nobles are those individuals who have bought their way into power. The nobility of the Shek Kingdom is made up of the 5 Invincibles, the most capable and honorable warriors the kingdom has to offer. Finally, while the lower classes of the United Cities are made up of slaves, the laborers of the Shek Kingdom are defeated warriors who have had their horns cut so that their outward appearance shows that their path is not the path of an honorable warrior. So what is it that made the Shek into the fearsome warriors they are? Long ago, there was no Shek Kingdom. The Shek were nothing more than disparate tribes, constantly skirmishing amongst themselves, until the legendary King Kral rose to power and united them. Kral would set out the tradition of honor that would serve as the foundation of Shek society. He would die in battle, showing to all Shek that it is better to die than live in defeat. In a way, that honor could be more valuable than life itself. This tradition would prove to be a double-edged sword. While it did bring order to the Shek Kingdom, it ultimately led to conflict with the kingdom's neighbors. The Shek would experience the same problem as the Mohicans. Due to their martial society, the Holy Nation and United Cities feared the growing power of the Shek, and the Shek's great advantage of skill would ultimately be matched by their enemies' numbers. The wars with the Holy Nation would bring the Sheks to the brink of destruction, and when King Shagar planned a final suicidal battle that would see the lives of all remaining Sheks snuffed out, Esta, the stone golem, confronted him. She argued that the lives of the remaining Shek were too precious to be thrown away, despite what honor demanded. She then defeated King Shagar in combat and took the throne for herself. But at what cost? There were a great number of Shek who did not agree with Esta. They felt that they had been robbed of an honorable death, and could not live with the idea that they were alive only due to cowardice. This would cause great upheaval in the Shek Kingdom, and now many breakaway factions exist, such as the Band of Bones, the Berserkers, and Kral's Chosen. So what does the future hold for the Shek Kingdom? I predict 3 possible scenarios. 1. The Shek will return to their more rigid warrior tradition and will face the same problems they had with Shagar. Out of fear, their neighbors will unite against them and crush them, and this time may not give them a second chance to regroup. 2. The factionalism that exists within the kingdom will ultimately destroy it, reducing the Shek to warring tribes as they were before the reign of Kral. Or 3. The Shek will continue down the path they are on now. The tech hunters, shinobi thieves, and western hives will all continue to move in, as Shek traditions are abandoned in favor of civilian life. The kingdom will resemble the United Cities more and more, with trade taking the place that martial valor once held. The lives of the Shek will be preserved, but the ideals that united the kingdom will be gone forever. In short, when you play Kenshi, you are looking at a snapshot of the Shek Kingdom before its destruction. As I highlighted in my last video, the interesting thing about Kenshi is its ability to reflect our own world so well. It's very interesting how many historical parallels we have for the Shek Kingdom. When you think of the martial societies in history, you might think of the Mohicans, who were defeated by a coalition of other tribes, or maybe the Spartans, who were defeated by a coalition of Greek cities, Thebes, Athens, and Corinth. Or maybe you think of Prussia, who were defeated by England, France, and Russia in a war that has been nicknamed the War to End All Wars. Whatever you think of, there is one lesson that seems to run throughout. Martial societies can only exist temporary, by their nature. After all, how do you determine who is the greatest warrior, and thus king, if you are peacefully coexisting with your neighbors?